honoring the lasting impact of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe on the Indo-Pacific. He was killed on the campaign trail last week. Hello and welcome to VOA Asia Weekly. I'm Jessica Stone in Washington. We'll get to that story in a moment, but first, Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled the country on a military jet. Over the weekend, protesters, angered over leaders' handling of the economy, stormed and occupied his official residence. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met for 5 hours with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Indonesia. Blinken says he raised concerns over Beijing's alignment with Moscow and its war in Ukraine. A statement says Yi demanded that Washington cease sanctions against Chinese companies and cancel additional tariffs. Just weeks into his presidency, Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. marked the 6th anniversary of Manila's win at an international court. The tribunal ruled that China's territorial claims inside the Philippine waters of the South China Sea are illegal under international law. Kiribati withdrew suddenly from the Pacific Island Forum. The island nation's president said in the letter that the withdrawal is because of a disagreement over terms signed weeks ago, but others fear China's involvement. Angry Chinese bank depositors clashed with police outside a People's Bank of China branch in Zhengzhou. This comes after the freezing of deposits by some 400,000 accounts by 4 rural banks. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida says he'll continue the mission of slain former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to revise Japan's pacifist constitution. The ruling conservative coalition expanded its majority in parliament in last weekend's elections. Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was laid to rest this week. The man accused of assassinating Abe, 41-year-old Tetsuya Yamagami, told investigators he believed that the former prime minister was linked to a religious group he blamed for his mother's financial difficulties. It's a killing that stunned a nation where political violence is rare. VOA's Bill Gallo reports from Seoul.
Ex-Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was giving a speech outside a train station in the western city of Nara when a man approached from behind and fired a gun. Abe fell to the ground, bleeding. His alleged assassin was captured immediately. Authorities recovered what appeared to be a homemade gun. Authorities airlifted Abe to a nearby hospital, but by then officials say he showed no vital signs. At a press conference, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida appeared distraught.
It is a barbarian act amid election campaigns, which are the foundation of democracy, and is absolutely unforgivable.
Abe had a profound impact on Japan. In 2006, he became the country's youngest post-war prime minister, but quit after a year because of a stomach illness. 5 years later, he was back, beginning a transformative 8-year term. Abe boosted Japan's defense, saying the country should play a bigger role in world affairs. He supported a tougher approach to China, and he successfully navigated a tricky relationship with former U.S. President Donald Trump. He stepped down in 2020, but he remained a major political force. At the time of his assassination, Abe was campaigning for a Sunday election that officials say will continue. Bill Gallo, VOA News, Seoul.
Visit our website at voanews.com for the most up-to-date stories. You're watching VOA Asia Weekly. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and Japanese Finance Minister Shunichi Suzuki have agreed to coordinate steps to address rising food and energy prices, as well as volatility in currency markets. The ministers say the war in Ukraine increased currency market volatility and could impact economic stability. U.S. interest rate increases have also strengthened the dollar and made it more expensive for companies across Asia to repay their dollar-denominated debt. Yellen maintains that currency intervention should only be used in rare and exceptional circumstances. Finally, on Asia Weekly, solemn tributes across Australia to Japan's longest-serving prime minister. The colors of the Japanese flag lit up the iconic Sydney Opera House just days after Abe died. Former Australian Prime Minister Kevin Rudd wrote he considers Abe the most consequential Japanese leader in half a century. That's all the time we have here on VOA Asia Weekly. I'm your host, Jessica Stone. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you right back here next week.